Hey, today I wanted to bring up some weird advice, and that's that you need to choose the pain and suffering in your life. You need to choose what end goal that you want to struggle for. Because here's a sad fact about life. Pain and suffering is all but guaranteed. Now, that depressing fact being stated, we all know the statement that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And while that saying might be sorta simple, bland, obvious, and surface level, it doesn't make it any less true. But don't you worry, we're gonna go much deeper in the topic than that saying does. So let us start with the idea that pain and suffering is actually not the same thing, right? Pain is the physical or sort of emotional feeling that you felt when that thing happened to you that caused you to feel that way. Like perhaps the feeling of getting punched in the face at school or something like that, or the emotions that you immediately feel after a loved one has wronged you in some kind of way. Meanwhile, suffering is the sort of negative part of the experience that you can't really explain to someone else with too much ease. It is the interpretation of the pain that you felt that you sort of come up with after the fact. Suffering is the long-standing effects of getting punched in the face, whether that be the embarrassment you feel at school, or let's say you were to get robbed or something, right? And then the suffering would be the fallout that were to follow that experience afterwards, like you being scared to go outside or scared of random people on the subway or losing your belongings or something like that. So in the end, pain isn't really up to you, right? There's probably some ways of minimizing your exposure to pain, but I would argue that that actually leads you to a worse off life. Meanwhile, suffering you can sort of control because that's your reaction to the situation after the fact. But truthfully and honestly, there's really no way to get rid of these two things. There's this sort of idea today in life that life should be all sunshine and rainbows, and I think all the technology around us and this sort of generally plushy sort of lifestyle that most of us live now is sort of the cause for this idea. There's a million ways out there now to get instant gratification just from your cell phone even, and that sort of leads you to a place where you're all safe and cozy inside your home and you don't have to leave, but you need to put yourself out there. You need to go outside and get rejected and learn why you got rejected and what things you need to fix, because problems and negativity are your brain telling you that there is a problem that you need to fix. And that right there is the proof that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's literally our biological answer to happiness. There are problems in your life because there is something that needs fixed, and fixing those problems will lead you to your happiness. Something I want to quickly touch on before I move on is that it's a good idea to get your problems out there and sort of tell someone about it, whether that be someone you sort of really trust, just like a one-on-one kind of thing, or if you publicize it to the world. But realize when you're doing this that you're walking on thin ice. Admitting to yourself and others that you have a problem somewhere in life is very good for the motivation to get you going to fix that problem, but you need to make sure you're not setting up a habit of sort of playing victimhood so that you can get a little dopamine rush of being the victim and having people feel sorry for you and having eyes on you and trying to have them make you feel better and whatnot. And now for the main idea, you need to choose the problems that you have in your life, because you're actually doing this whether you know that you're doing it or not. The way you set your life up is introducing problems into your life that you're going to have to solve. Whether or not these are good or bad problems to have comes from that previous decision of what you want to do with your life and how you're setting your life up to introduce these problems. And as an example, here's something pretty funny I do, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing or something sort of along the same lines, but I'll be listening to like a rap song, right? And I'll imagine like my coworkers are in the car with me and I'm telling them, hey, look, I made this song. And they're there with me listening to that song that I really like, right? But imagining that I made it. Now that might sort of sound like I have some passion for making music or something, but I do not want to be a rapper, right? And do you know how I know that I don't want to be a rapper? Because I'm not looking for beats, I'm not looking for producers, I'm not looking for people to rap with, I'm not looking for any of that, right? I'm not introducing these problems and solving them in my life, so therefore I know that I don't actually want to be a rapper. And you may have some kind of lofty goal in your mind, but if you're not introducing the problems that come with achieving them goals and actively solving those problems day in and day out, then you don't actually want that goal. You really just want the end goal of it. You want all the positives that come with that goal rather than achieving the goal itself. And that's what I mean when I say you have to choose your problems, right? Like, I'm actively choosing all the problems that come with making YouTube videos. I have to think of subjects, I have to learn how to edit, I have to do everything that encompasses making a YouTube video if I want to continue. So having them YouTube problems is good for me because I actively want to solve those problems and feel good when I do solve those problems. However, if you were to tell me that I had the problem of managing some company's financial books, then I probably wouldn't be all too excited, because at the moment I don't want to become a corporate businessman and like move up through the corporate ladder and whatnot, because that's not my goal goal at the moment. However, if that was your goal, then you would feel good with that problem of having to manage the books because it would move you closer towards your goal and you would feel good solving that issue. So to reiterate the final point, you need to ask yourself, why am I going through this pain in my life? What am I struggling for? What is the end goal? Because again, you have to have problems in your life. So if that end goal is worth your problems and worth struggling for, then those problems are going to be worth solving and you're going to enjoy solving those problems a little bit more than if they were meaningless in the end. If the end goal of your pain is pointless, then all the pain that you're going through right now will be pointless. Easy common sense advice that people come up with for themselves is that if I do blank or achieve blank, then I will be happy in the end, right? If I get this car, if I get this house, if I get this job, then I'll be happy. But that's not the way you need to think about it. You need to think about the pain that you're going through to get that, and then that's going to make you question if it's actually worth it. If business is your actual passion and end goal, then you will enjoy the pain and suffering that comes with like working on the weekends or whatnot to achieve that goal of moving up through business. It is possible to make your life better by momentarily making yourself feel worse through these pains if the end goal is worth it for you. Just remember that pain is useful. It is the number one thing that inspires change. And remember to not avoid your problems, but actively seek out the correct problems and solve them. Honestly, this is something that I'm pretty terrible at, but you need to remember that if you don't choose your problems, then your problems are going to choose you. If you don't have that big talk with whoever it is you need to have that big talk with, then you're going to have the fallout of not having that big talk, whether that be that the action that you dislike keeps going, or just that mistrust starts rising from the fact that you know that you should be having this conversation when you're not, because you're avoiding those problems. If you avoid the problems that come with being healthy, like possibly going to the gym or just eating somewhat healthy and sort of staying in a non-sedimentary lifestyle, then you're going to acquire the problems of a non-healthy person, be it heart attacks, weight gain, and whatnot. Remember that you choose your problems, and this makes them good or bad problems. Do you want to have the problem of getting up and going to the gym, or not being able to go to the gym because you're bedridden from being unhealthy for years? Remember, you are always choosing. You are choosing what problem to allow into your life and the problems that you want to experience. Albeit some problems come in that aren't your fault and that you can't control, but those are the things that you can't control. You got to let it go. Just remember that you have to earn your happiness through your problems. Thanks for listening. Oh, and also push one of these buttons is going to show up in the end. 1, 2, 3, go. Push it now.